Phil's really struggling along here, Mike, as grand slam early. They got back in the game, then two more tacked on, 6-3 Yankees. What's your overview of what's been going on with this team really coming out of the All-Star break after that series with Oakland before the All-Star break?
Yeah, I mean, and it really stretches back to London, right? When they got back from London, I think they're 20-22 since they returned from London. They're just not hitting. They're not pitching. The bullpen has gone south. Bryce Harper's in a 1-for-28 slump. I mean, it just seems like everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong.
We see that a lot during the baseball season, but a lot of Phillies fans would say, hey, these are the same guys that, went cold in the playoffs. Should they have done more to address that yesterday?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you add a bat here or there, but I maintain they're going to go as their superstars go. I mean, it's got to be Kyle Schwarber. It's got to be Bryce Harper. It's got to be Trey Turner. It's got to be Alec Boehm. It's got to be JT Realmuto. It's got to be those guys who are going to bring the team home. This, a player here might push them over the edge. But if Bryce Harper is going to be 1-for-27, if Alec Boehm is going to have 4 RBIs in June, if Trey Turner is going to struggle like he has since the All-Star break, I don't care who you trade for at the deadline. You're not going to win many ball games.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been their problem, though, right? It's that, hey, Castellanos carries you through the Braves series, and then he kills you in the Diamondback series. A lot of the guys have been so hot or so cold. So when you look at this lineup, yeah, you're right. It's those guys, but they're the same guys who have been letting you down. Are they just too streaky?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, all baseball players are streaky. I think this Phillies team is a little bit more streaky than most. And it's kind of a balancing act, right, Mike? You talk about the grind of 162 games. I bet you can look at every World Series winner of the past, 20 years, and they've had a stretch of games where they haven't played well. And it's a balancing act between when do you say it's just baseball, it's going to change, the players are too good to keep performing like this, or when do you push the panic button?
Right, the panic button, I don't want to say is being pushed yet, but some Phillies fans starting to get sorry, 7.5 though.
Mike, this is a big road trip coming up. They lose
You're right.
today, get swept by the Yankees. They go out to West Coast, Seattle, Dodgers, Arizona. All of a sudden they come back. It's the middle of August. The lead, which is once 10 games, is down to about 4.5, 3.5 games. You're going to have a lot of worried fans in the Delaware Valley.
I said there's 7.5 now. That's a big cushion. But if me and you were talking next Wednesday and it's 4.5, now I think we have a different discussion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But keep in mind that if you have a 4.5 game lead in the middle of August, if you go back and look at the teams that had a 4.5 game division lead in the middle of August, I would venture to say that 95% of them got home and won the division. So it doesn't seem like a lot when you were up 10.5 and you thought you were going to walk to a division title and have one of the best summers in franchise history. But again, it could be cause for concern when they come back from this road trip.
Mike McGarry, Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. Phillies, they are trailing 6-4. They actually scored while we're having this conversation. An RBI ground out by Castellanos. Boehm tripled to start everything, and he has scored to make it 6-4. Gregory Soto traded. Sir Anthony Dominguez traded. Were you surprised yesterday that Soto was part of a deal to bring back minor leaguers and not help the big league roster?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Dave Dombrowski said they wouldn't have made that move if they didn't go out and get Tanner Banks from Chicago White Sox. Now, they clearly think that Tanner Banks fills that third lefty spot in the bullpen better than Soto, so that's why they made the move. We'll see what happens with Tanner Banks. To me, here's a guy who pitched in low-leverage situations for the Chicago White Sox, who are the worst team in baseball. Now you're going to ask him to come in here and pitch in big games in a pennant race, so we'll see how that goes. But I think maybe that's more of a statement on Soto than it is on Tanner Banks.
Yeah, so he'll be the lefty. They bring in Austin Hayes. I asked this question to you, Mike. He is batting ninth most days. He's 2 today because Turner and a couple guys are out. Is adding a new number 9 hole hitter, is that enough?
Well, I mean, if if he hits the way he has the past 2 days, I mean, he had the home run last night at 4 RBIs, had a big double today, I believe. So if he can hit like that, I think he's an upgrade. But again, I come back to him, Mike. If Bryce Harper's going to go 1 for 29, this team isn't winning anything.
Yeah. No, the offense, look, and a lot is being put on the offense, Mike, because they've kind of gone cold. Historically, this is the month where they've turned it on. They got off to such a good start we're not used to. Now they're slumping when they generally turn the Jets on the last couple of years. That is what I think has made this an interesting dynamic, is they jumped out to such a big league by doing something they hadn't normally done, which is get off to a good start. Now they're slumping when generally they've been hot. I would imagine it evens back off, and we're talking a month from now, and we're saying, man, what an August this team just had.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they say right now. I mean, you heard Trey Turner last night say, we've got the guys in the clubhouse to turn it around. Rob Thompson says these guys are too talented to continue to pitch and hit like this. Kyle Schwarber says stay with the work. Keep putting the work in every day, which he says everybody's doing, and you'll see the results. Zach Wheeler says, things like this happen during the season. The team doesn't like it. The fans don't like it. Nobody likes it, but it's part of baseball. We'll see. Again, I say they're going to get to October, and once they get there, they're starting pitching. I like them more than any other National League team because of their starting pitching. But this is a pretty tough stretch to take here in the middle of July, where a lot of Phillies fans thought they were going to have the summer of their lives, and now they're watching this.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen. It adds a little bit to it, that you're not cruising so far out in front. But, yes, a little intrigue here for the Phillies. And obviously, today you saw Christopher Sanchez kind of, tried to get through 6, came up 1 short, pitched okay in the game. This bullpen's going to be interesting to see how it materializes now, Mike, throughout. Ruiz and Marte today, those are 2 guys who are not going to be factors in October baseball, but they definitely have a different look of their bullpen than they did 2 days ago.
Yeah, you need Strom and Alvarado to get back to where they were. Now, in fairness to Strom, last night he comes in, does what he can't do. He 4-2 lead. He walks Soto, walks Judge. Chisholm hits a 3-run home run. You down 5-4. You can't come into a game and walk people. Now, in fairness to Strom, was it really realistic for him to go through a whole season of not giving up any runs or any big hits? So he's in a little bit of a slump right now, a little bit of a market correction, right? So I think what you're seeing here is kind of a little leveling off by the bullpen guys and the offense going stone cold.
You were there last night. You wrote about it at PressOfAtlanticCity.com. We're playing bad. That's what it comes down to. You walking around that clubhouse and seeing a team that's searching for answers or just realizing it's a long 162?
Yeah, I think this is a team that maintains it's a long 162, that believes in itself and believes it's going to turn it around. And again, I go back to what I said a little earlier. I mean, what's the balancing line between, hey, it's baseball, it's 162, and pushing the panic button? I don't think we're at the panic button pushing time yet. But this 10-game road trip out to the West Coast, things could get interesting out there.
No doubt. This is a big stretch. Seattle, L.A., Arizona, 3 playoff teams back-to-back-to-back, plus the Yankees right now. So 4 playoff teams. You're a lot, and there was a lot of people early in the season. They haven't beaten anybody. They're not playing a lot of teams. Well, now you're in a stretch, and are we starting to reevaluate what we thought about this team?
Yeah, I don't think so. I just think they went cold against the tough part of their schedule. Don't forget the Guardians in there right now are tied with them for the most wins in baseball. So it's been Guardians, Yankees, Seattle, Dodgers, Arizona. Not a good time of the year for Bryce Harper to go 1 for 29.
Not at all. All right. By the way, extra innings last night. I imagine the scribes were all having the conversation about when were they going to lay down a bunt. Was that a conversation?
Yeah, it was. But, I watch so much baseball, so much Major League Baseball these days. They came up with the score tied. I think it was the bottom of the 10th, and Bohm comes up. And the move there is I'm screaming, 10, 15 years ago, high school baseball game, Bohm bunts the guy over to third with 1 out. But Bohm's never bunted before in his life, so no one really even asked about it because we all know the answer. What Rob Thompson's going to say. Bohm has never bunted before in his life, so we're not going to bunt there. I go to the 11th inning where Austin Hayes knocks in the run. You got the winning run on first base with nobody out. You got Schwarber, Turner, and Harper coming to the plate, and you don't get the guy in. That one inning right there explains everything the Phillies have gone through since they've gotten back from London.
Yep. Now, I was sitting with Delsey's Joe Smith last night in that time frame. What do you think he would have done in that moment?
every high school coach I know would have bunted. But the fact is, Alec Boehm probably hasn't bunted since Little League, so they're not going to ask him to bunt there.
He said, how could Delsey High beat the Yankees right now, but the Phillies can't? And then he did acknowledge, some of these guys probably haven't bunted in quite a long time.
Exactly.
But that is the thing. And I said, look, the Yankees won the game, and they didn't lay down a bunt either.
Right, exactly. Both these teams are watching these teams. They're exactly the same. The Yankees were sputtering, until they went to Boston this past weekend. They were sputtering. They were in the midst of stretch that everybody in New York going crazy. They weren't hitting any home runs. Now all of a sudden they come down here, and DJ LeMahieu, who came in today batting 170 and was supposed to be washed up, hits the grand slam. So both these teams are built the same way. They're built to score by hitting the ball out of the park. That's modern-day baseball, and the Yankees have done it much better than the Phillies the past couple of days.
They did, but you're right. There was like 2-3 weeks ago where the people were questioning this Yankees team, and their pitching was a disaster and everything. And in baseball, it flips around quickly, and that's what you got now. Phillies down 6-4. Marte just got out of the seventh as they travel to the bottom half of the seventh. We'll keep you posted here. Mike McGarry will have all full details at pressofatlanticcity.com. And the new-look Phils, Carlos Estevez, he got in the game last night. Taylor Banks is now a part of this team. And, of course, Austin Hayes has been here. 3 new Phils. We'll see if it provides new results today with a couple innings left to go. Mike, appreciate it, bud.
All right, we'll see you down the road, Mike. Thank you.
Mike will be on Happy Hour Friday and the Sports Bash on Happy Hour Friday.